Hello everyone, Zane here and welcome to another Final Fantasy XIV video. Today I'm going to show you guys how to do the extreme fights in Stormblood as a DPS. So timestamps will be available so you guys can skip around to each extreme fight. Now any DPS can do this, but you need to have a good set of gear in order to do some of these fights. So I recommend trying to have a combination of the 720 and or the 710 gear in order to do this comfortably. So I have a combination of the 720 weapon, head, body, legs, 710 hands and feet, 710 accessories from the Everkeep Extreme, or you guys can use the crafted set, and then of course one ring from the Arcadion raid. And everything is melded. Okay? So I'm using my level 100 samurai. So we're going to be going down the list from Lakshmi to Shinryu to Tsukiyomi to ratholos to byakko, suzaku, and seiryu. I will be going over certain mechanics that you will ultimately need to know in order to do them accordingly. But most of this is basically tank and spank. Okay, so let's get started with Lakshmi Extreme. So Lakshmi is number 1 on this list. She is the fastest, easiest primal to take out. Nothing that she does will ultimately kill you, and you can kill her pretty quickly before she goes into her second phase. So ultimately tank and spank her after killing her 2 adds in front of her, dropping her barrier. If somehow, some way you ended up getting to her second phase, just jump off the edge, get your echo buff, and try again.
Do not your souls weigh heavy?
And Lakshmi is down. Not that hard and really quick. Now off to Shinryu Extreme. So Shinryu's main mechanics are basically the attacks from the primals of Realm Reborn, which we'll go over in a little bit. You will have to take out his heart every single time it spawns, because that increases his damage done to his ultimate attacks, which ultimately would wipe you with one shot. I don't know if that is the same with Unsynced, but it's best to take the heart out. It will do massive damage to him, as his HP pool is pretty large. When he does Earthen Fury, the platforms will crack. If this tail swipe lands on those, they will break. If the middle one is cracked, do not let him tail swipe it, otherwise the whole arena crashes down. If it isn't cracked, utilize it to have the tail land on it. It will do tidal wave, so you have 3 ways to doing this. Gap close as it goes off, stand next to the tidal wave, it pushes you back, or use arm's length. Next is the tail slam, with the crystal above your head being the indicator. Bring it to a platform that's not cracked, most of the middle if it isn't cracked, otherwise bring it to the front. The one that it lands on will crack, but the next one will break. Then he'll do summon icicles. Make sure that you're in between these, otherwise you'll get knocked back, and I think you'll get hit by a slow. Take out the tail when it comes down, then do massive damage to the body. Next, he's going to do Hypernova, which is get into the water puddles to dodge the fire debuff afterwards, or Lightning, which is do not stand in the water. After this, his heart should return, so make sure you take it out. At this point, you'll be seconds away from transitioning. He's going to do a slam attack in the middle platform, so make sure you're out of it, and then prepare for another raid wide, which is Ice Storm. At this point, he is going to do Dark Matter, which he's going to be chaining you up to do an active time event. Just tap your buttons during that active time event to break it to get to the next phase, which is going to be the add phase. So as you come down, you're going to go to the edge of the platform to get knocked back from this next mechanic. And then he's going to spawn some eggs to spawn his ads. You have to take them out before the next set comes down. He's going to do this about 2 times, and then the last set of eggs are going to be coming down, and you're going to have to set one up to land wherever you want. But if it's too close to the other eggs, they will both explode due to the proximity. So I would recommend going to the back of the platform, because that's probably the safest spot to put it. So this giant purple puddle is where the egg will land. If you notice, they always land in the corners and then of course the middle. So that's why putting it to the far back is your safest place to put it. And then you'll take out the last final ads, and then Shinryu will do his proto attack, and then you'll must do a knockback, and then you will climb onto his tail to run across to get to his platform, because the one you're on will break. So try to position yourself to the corner of the platform when the knockback goes off. And then you're going to use sprint if you have it to basically run across the tail. If you don't, stick to the right side of the tail to bait the lasers, and then hopefully you'll be able to outrun the next 2, and then jump when you get to the next platform and wait for his tail to recoil and he becomes targetable again. So in this last phase, the middle is a doom puddle, which will only be doomed if you stand in it. Otherwise, he's just going to do his Terror Slash, which is not very powerful, and then he'll do another mechanic, which he either will freeze you and then do Hypernova, or freeze and with the Lightning Bolt. But if you're fast enough, you can basically skip it and just have to do this stack mechanic, and then he'll do his Tidal Wave, which is the Enrage. And if you do not kill him by that, you basically get knocked off, and you must restart from the beginning. So when his Tidal Wave goes off, jump on his back to that little puddle there, and attack both of his wings, which will take most of his HP away. If you have a dot up underneath him, and then when you jump off, he should automatically die. If not, just do one attack, and he should be finished off pretty easily. And that is how you do Shinryu Extreme. Next is Tsukiyomi. Now this one's a little bit difficult because you must delay your burst until she does a certain mechanic in phase 1, which I believe you have to make sure that she's above 80%. If you can get her around 60% before she transitions, then you should be able to take her out pretty easily because she has the Doom in her second phase. So the minute you see Nightfall, immediately do your burst as fast as possible. She'll either do her gun mechanic, which is a stack, or she'll do her spear, which is a 3-prong attack. Both of them aren't really hard hitting, so you should be able to survive them pretty easily. After that, she will stun you and then go into her ad phase.
Your death will be all the sweeter.
So the ad phase, also known as the resource phase, is the perfect time to build up your gauge of your job to do your ultimate attacks. You're just going to have to take out her parents, some guardians, Asahi, and Xenos' spectral ghost. Other than that, the bar will fill up every time Tsukiyomi takes damage, and the damage from Nightbloom is pretty minuscule, so don't worry about that. So next is going to be the DPS check. If you do not kill her, she will kill you first with Doom. So she's going to put a puddle on the ground, white and black. If you get a black debuff, go to the white side. If you get the white debuff, go to the black side. If you go to the side where the orbs are, stand underneath the orb because it's going to be a donut AoE. Then you're going to wait until the arena starts to shrink. Then you're going to stand on the side that is shrinking and try to hold off until you get at least 4 stacks. And then you're going to swap to the other side until the debuff changes. If the black side or white side is still available, go back to that side to reset your timer, and then that side will dissipate. You will get a meteor, which ultimately would change the color of the ground to give you a safe spot. Because you're in solo mode, you don't get the safe spot, but you will get a damage down debuff, which is something that you do not want, but you're ultimately going to have to get. So basically, if you don't kill her by then, restart with more echo and do the whole mechanics all over again, and you should be able to take her out pretty easily. And that, my friends, is how you take out Tsukiyomi as a DPS. Next is Suzaku. So this one, you don't want to do your full burst at the beginning because she will jump. So try to do about halfway and then wait until she jumps, and then when she comes back down, finish your burst. Next is going to be her rekindled AoE. Do not let those birds touch you, otherwise they will be revived. And don't make sure you get hit by her because she'll give you a vuln stack. After that, she'll do a bunch of mechanics, and then she'll do her Phoenix down, which is going to be the next mechanic that you're going to have to take care of, and there's 2 ways of doing it. When Phoenix comes down, take out the small feather. Then you have an opening to take the birds to kill them before they get revived by the other feathers. So take the rekindle puddle in the middle between all of them, because if you let the big one do it, they get a strong buff and they will be unkillable. So drag them all the way to the edge and focus them down ASAP before they tether to each other and then become unkillable. If one of the feathers grabs one of the birds, just kill it again and they should go down pretty quickly. If you want to do the other version, take out the middle feather and then skip those ads completely. And then go back to fighting Suzaku. So if you do the big feather version, then you're going to have to do your burst to take it out because that's a high HP pool, and you must disengage because the rekindle AoE will go off. But doing that part will make Suzaku do another mechanic in her final phase, which won't kill you, but it's annoying if you do it that way. By doing this way with the smaller birds, taking them to the edge, you'll do more damage to Suzaku, skipping 2 mechanics. And then this part, you must get all of the orbs as possible, because that is going to be your damage up. So pick whatever section that the game gives you, and make sure you do the DDR portion of this. So basically point towards the arrow to get the buff from the balls. I think if you give her 4 of them, she gets 33 each, and then she'll ultimately get 100, which ultimately means she'll kill you with her ultimate attack.
Trust in me, my love. I will protect you, I promise. Please, my love. If only you would listen.
So in the final phase, if you did enough damage in phase 1 plus get all 10 orbs for the buffs, this phase goes by pretty quickly. She will skip Phantom Flurry, the Half Room Cleave, Towers, the Stack Marker, and the Pushback and Draw In, and go straight into her Simon Says. Basically, the bird will go past the symbols on the wall, which will explode the platforms. They are a little bit finicky, so you want to stand on the edge of the pie slices, and when you see the bird go past it, you'll be able to go into the next sector that just blew up. Otherwise, you'll get knocked up in the air, and then you'll get a bone stack. So just like that, Suzaku is done. Now off to Seiryu. So Seiryu Extreme's not that difficult, but he can kill you towards the end of his fight, which ultimately you shouldn't see. But if you do get that, you will most likely die and have to start the fight over again. The first thing he does is 5th element, simple raid wide, and then he'll do a checkered mechanic on the ground. Just make sure that you're not standing in the AoEs, otherwise you'll get a vuln up. And then he hits you with an attack that gives you a little bit of a water debuff, which will fall off within a couple seconds. Next is his yin yang attack, which ultimately puts a giant AoE underneath him, which you cannot see, so you must get out. If he does a dragon, that is a get in, then he'll do a combination of that later on. Next is Cursed Keeper. He does a debuff on you, and you get hit, you'll take double the damage. This used to kill you when you were doing it synced, because it's unsynced, it is just a tickle. And then he'll go into his add phase, which you must kill the big one, and then of course the small ones, and then will explode and do damage. This part here, you will get massive damage from both the AoEs from the side, and of course the stack marker in the beginning. So try to use any mitigation, and then of course second wind. Don't get hit by the guys on the side, sit in between these AoEs, and then you're going to get slammed by the ogres. Nothing you can do about that besides mitigate. So kill these heads, like I said, the big one first before the small ones, because it does do a stone skin, and then they will explode upon death. Do that until he is out of ads, and then he'll go into his transition.
Impudent mortals! Grant me the strength to smite mine enemies!
Once you have control of your character, try to swim towards the center of the arena, obviously dodging the water AoEs. This is going to be a knockback from his snake, so try to get to the other side and do either a arm's length or do a gap closer to negate it to keep yourself uptimed. And then he'll summon this monster here, which will slap the sides of the arena. Just look for the hand that is raised up and dodge accordingly.
Can match my might. Flesh of my flesh.
So the final slam from this guy is going to push you back to the side of where the snakes are. So then those are going to send you to the other side. So make sure you gap close or do arm's length. And then of course you got the stack marker, which you should be able to eat no problem since it does not give you any kind of debuff. And then he's going to go back to doing the yin yang plus the dragon symbol. So it's going to be either an out and then in, or in and out. So make sure you pay attention.
No! I will not lose! I cannot! You know where to run!
So at this point he does another checkered mechanic, but this time he does one and then swaps to the other, and then he does towers, and then he should do another stack mechanic which will ultimately kill you. So if you don't kill him by this point, you're going to get killed, and then you have to come back with Echo. Next is Ratholos Extreme. Byakko cannot be done on a DPS just yet, so you have to do it on a tank. So Ratholos has no AoE markers, so we have to go by telegraphs, just like in Monster Hunter. So everything is basically from the front, and if you do your burst, you should be able to get him down so far, it will go straight to the add phase. which is basically the enemies from the Bardens Metal dungeon. Once you see the big Beluga guy come barging in, you will get stunned and you cannot move until Ratholos is untargetable. Kill the big guy because you need him as cover for Ratholos' ultimate attack. Remember, you can die at least 3 times before you fail the duty. So after they're dead, make sure you kill the rest of the ads and get behind him until Ratholos' attack goes off. Once it goes off, you're free to move around and kill the rest. So in this phase and beyond, you cannot heal naturally. You must use the R3 button to use your Mega Potion when you are basically on death's door. So hit the R2 button or the trigger and then R3 to use your Mega Potions, which you must be in an animation lock before you're able to attack. Most of his attacks do come from the front, so try to keep moving and stay behind him. Ratholos has a down gauge, which hits 100 after every GCD or auto attack. Once it hits 100, he goes down and becomes vulnerable again. As of right now, he has a very powerful buff that causes damage to be a lot less. So when that does happen, make sure you attack its tail. Attacking the tail will make it fall off, and then you'll get its plus scales to get the mount at 50. There's a chance that you can get his treasure chest to drop, which has the mount, but that is really rare to happen. So ultimately, keep attacking him, keep auto-attacking him, goes down, attack the tail, attack his body, complete the fight, get your reward, rinse and repeat. And that, my friends, is how you do Ratholos Extreme. If you're a ranged, you have an easier time to do this because you don't have to be up in front of them. But if you're a melee, stay behind them as much as possible and try not to get hit. If you do, you will get a dizzy debuff, which means you're going to be in control of your character for a little bit. So you can get double hit, but once that falls off, you have control of your character again. So that is how you do all the extreme fights in Stormblood with the exception of Susano. Unless Esteem from Dark Knight or Doton from Ninja can take out the sword, it is never going to be able to be done unless you can zerg him down during one of his mechanics, which basically is the pushback and one of the cloud that comes out to attack you. That's the only mechanic that I know that you can take him out if you have enough burst. Otherwise, that is all for Stormblood. Alright, so hopefully you found this useful. Make sure to check out the rest of my channel for more Final Fantasy XIV content, and I will see you guys in the next one. Happy farming! And that's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you're new for more Final Fantasy XIV content and help with the YouTube algorithm. If you guys want to support my channel even further, consider becoming a YouTube member, Patreon supporter, or help me on Ko-Fi. The links for those will be in the description down below, as well as my Discord. And an extra special shout out to the members on screen. So until next time, if you ever walk in the glorious light of Lord Bahamut, and always remember to keep forging ahead.